Okay, Gene Basler here, Cat Spring, Texas. This is the next prospective build site. This is a little bit more than what I would describe a grove of trees. This is a bigger area. Out there is the road. This is the neighbor. Demerit number one for me as far as choosing a build site too close to the neighbor. But I guess if if my family was coming out here on weekends without me while I was working, I might not hate the thought of them being a little bit closer to neighbors. Okay, so the thing that concerns me about building here is you'd be more likely to build in a clearing like where I'm standing. You'd be more likely to build in a clearing like where I'm standing. And so you could come in and out, impacting the root zones of only these trees. The other possibility is that you'd come in here and build, and I think you're going to have a little bit more of a logistical concern. You'd come all the way in here, establish your construction staging area here, having brought all the trucks and traffic and crews in, protection zones here, this tree cut down, this tree cut down, home built here in this opening, those trees preserved. I think you've got a lot more opportunity to damage or negatively impact the root systems of a larger number or swath of trees moving in here. And so yes, it could be done. I think they'd be a little bit more involved. This is kind of a cool place to hang out and have picnics. This might be where I'd put the mother-in-law house. Real nice specimen tucked there in the woods. This is it, across from here to here, and there's its trunk. Creek running back there. There's a lot of things I like about this site. This might be where I'd want to park my, camp out here. There's a lot of things I like about this site. I do, however, see this as being a little bit more of a costly tree preservation program. These canopies are really thin. I hope that's just drought and not oak wilt. This tree over here is dead. My guess would be oak wilt. Right there. This is the property line. So again, we're real close to the neighbors here. Looks to me like a dead water oak. I'm thinking oak wilt. Kill the water oak. It wasn't disposed of because people around these parts just don't know if a water oak, first diagnosed positive case of oak wilt on water oak was March 2000. What is that, a catfish? It's a catfish. March 2009, just 2 years ago. So it would surprise me if this tree did die, if a diagnosis of oak wilt was ever even made on it. Good news is that the water oak right next to it's still alive. But this is another site that's screaming oak wilt to me, just like that one way over on the west end of the property. But to do a thorough oak wilt inspection on this property is going to take some time. You know, the more time I spend here in this clearing, the more I like it. All right, let's talk about some of your plans that the property owner has for, you know, clearing this place out. You know, snakes and scorpions and whatnot. Everybody wants to make the whole property, you know, look nice and clear like this. Like, can I make clear the whole place out? And yes, a lot of people do. I advise against it. You know, this is an ecosystem, and the understory flora is part of the cultural growing conditions of, say, this live oak, for example. And so anything you cut down is a disturbance, even if you chip it up and leave it lie so it'll decompose. And you know, as the story goes, that you chip it up, it decomposes, it replenishes the nutrients in the soil, and it helps the plant. You're really upsetting the balance here. Let's say, for example, here you got an eastern red cedar growing straight up between these two live oaks. Let's say we cut that down. I'd use that straight piece for something. Put up my anarchy flag. But you know, now you've got more light penetration. You've got to think about potential sunburn on the bark. You think about potential stress. And so if you're going to cut out the understory, even only a portion of it, some of these yopons, some of this, you know, there's some American beautyberry, it seems, and you know, a lot of vines, a ton of stuff, all this stuff that I just don't really know. All of these plants. Blackberries. You know, you kill this property if you take out the blackberry patch. I mean, let's face it. Cut some trails in, you know. Cut some trails. You know, like I said, everything you cut down is a disturbance. I would cut down that cedar. I'd use it. But I'd fertilize the trees too. Put a soaker hose on them a couple times. Because every change you make, every change is a potential stress factor. You know, it's important for these trees. You know, live oaks don't let turf grass grow in their root zones. As you can see, there's not much grass in here. But there are these understory plants that have their role in the live oaks world, and they have value too. They have, you know, and so I would advise against, you know, and I'm the wrong person to talk about how all of these tie into the fauna. But I would advise against totally clearing this out and just, you know, I've had people come in and say everything 4 inches diameter and smaller goes. It would just, it'd be a shame. It'd be nice and clear and open. And clearings like this are great. Like, I'm in love with this one. But I don't know that I'd want this in my entire 25-acre property turned into a clearing like this. It's your property, and it wouldn't be the end of the world if you did it. And in a lot of ways, it might be beautiful, and you could also turn this property into a money pit by doing this, and the return on it might not be worth all the money you spent clearing this out. I think you're going to get possibly, you know, you asked, so I'm answering. You're probably going to get a lot more value out of this property, a lot more enjoyment and value out of this property if you don't clear it, but cut a bunch of paths through it. So I still maintain that this site if this were your home site, would be a lot more logistically involved and a more costly tree preservation plan. If you have any questions, info@wideworldoftrees.com. I also have, one of these days I'm going to memorize my voicemail hotline. 262-724-6701. Thanks for tuning in.